Samuel Hayes gripped the handles of his 40mm Bofors gun. The glint of the Mediterranean sun reflected off its polished metal. Above him, 40 German Ju-87 Stuka dive bombers formed at 12,000 feet. Their engines were a growing threat in the sky, poised to unleash an attack. Conventional wisdom said his ship could not withstand this onslaught. Within 9 minutes, this former Carnival shooting gallery operator, with no formal aerial combat training, he would personally destroy 8 of them. In March 1943, HMS Illustrious, a 23,000-ton aircraft carrier, carrying a crew of 1,392 and 36 aircraft, had deployed to the Mediterranean. Her mission was to support Allied operations in North Africa, a region where German and Italian aircraft constantly challenged Allied naval presence. The ship was heavily armed with anti-aircraft guns, primarily the 40mm Bofors, a potent weapon designed to fire 120 rounds per minute effectively. It had an effective range of 3,500 yards. Standard naval doctrine dictated anti-aircraft gunners engage multiple targets, using short, suppressing bursts, creating a wall of fire. This was to keep attackers nervous, hoping some might miss. Concentrating fire on a single target was seen as a waste of precious ammunition. It was a grave risk, potentially leaving the ship vulnerable. Samuel Hayes, assigned to a Bofors gun on the port side aft deck. He had joined the Royal Navy in 1940. Before the war, from 1933 to 1940, he operated a shooting gallery. It was on Liverpool's New Brighton pier. For 10 pence, customers could fire air rifles at moving metal ducks. Hayes had spent years observing why people missed their targets. They aimed where the target was, not where it would be. He taught them to lead the target, predicting its future position. The human brain often struggled with precise lead angles and calculations of deflection, though he had never fired anything larger than an air rifle before the war. His decade of experience gave him uncommon insight into hitting moving objects. His first combat engagement on March 28, 1943 was illuminating. German aircraft attacked at dusk, and Hayes, following doctrine, engaged multiple targets with short bursts. He fired 240 rounds, but like many other gunners, they expended thousands of rounds, yet he hit nothing. The wall of fire looked impressive but proved ineffective. The aircraft dropped their bombs and escaped. Hayes began to question the established method, seeing the Stuka differently. He saw the Stuka as a dive bomber with a predictable path. It committed from 12,000 feet down to 1,500 feet before bomb release. Not a fleeting threat, but a large, vulnerable moving duck on a track. He reasoned that if a gunner could track one aircraft through its entire dive, maintaining continuous concentrated fire, then it would certainly be destroyed. 3 days before the May 10th attack, Hayes proposed this radical idea to his gun captain. The response was sharp skepticism from his captain. His captain called it ammunition waste, showing sharp skepticism. His fellow gunners questioned a Carnival barker telling the Navy how to fight. The warrant officer wondered if Hayes had lost his mind. Yet Hayes persisted in practicing his technique. Then came May 10th, 1943. At 1400, radar detected more than 40 incoming contacts. Stukas were approaching from the north, the largest attack in weeks. The ship immediately went to action stations, guns manned. Aircraft secured below deck. Damage control teams were ready. The Stukas appeared at 1430, forming up at 12,000 feet. In their standard attack pattern, 10 waves of 4 aircraft each. At 1437, the first wave began its dive. 4 Stukas rolled, inverted, and plunged earthward. Their distinctive sirens screamed, a sound designed to instill terror. Every anti-aircraft gun on the ship opened fire. Bofors, Oerlikons, and .50 caliber machine guns filled the sky. With tracers, a vivid display of the wall of fire doctrine. Hayes watched as thousands of rounds were expended, yet none of the 4 Stukas were hit. They dropped their bombs at 1,500 feet, pulled out, and escaped. 2 bombs near missed the ship, causing no direct damage, but sent a clear message. The current approach was insufficient. In that critical moment, Hayes made his decision. He would ignore doctrine. He would track single targets. As the second wave of Stukas began its dive, Hayes selected the lead aircraft, locking onto it at 10,000 feet. He began firing in controlled 2-round bursts, continuously adjusting his aim, tracking the Stuka as it descended. His loader swiftly fed clips into the bowfores as fast as the gun cycled. At 8,000 feet, Hayes' rounds connected, tracers walking up the Stuka's fuselage. The aircraft shuddered but kept diving as Hayes maintained his relentless fire. At 6,000 feet, smoke billowed from the Stuka. At 4,000 feet, its left wing tore off and the aircraft tumbled into the sea. Hayes' gun captain, witnessing the impossible, stared at Hayes in silence. As the third wave dove, Hayes selected another target, tracking it from 11,000 feet with sustained fire. At 7,000 feet, his round struck the engine. The Stuka exploded, scattering debris across the sky. 2 Stukas down in 2 waves, an incredible feat. Other guns, using distributed fire, had scored no additional hits. With the 4th wave, Hayes engaged a 3rd Stuka. It dove from a steeper, faster angle. Hayes adjusted his lead and continued firing. At 5,000 feet, his rounds hit the cockpit. The aircraft, pilot dead, slammed into the water at full speed. 3 Stukas down in 4 waves, and Hayes' method was undeniably working. His gun captain, now convinced, shouted to the other Bofors crews, "Copy Hayes. Single targets. Sustained fire." Other gunners swiftly switched tactics, locking onto individual Stukas and tracking them through their dives. Psychological tables began to turn as Stuka pilots saw comrades explode. Stuka pilots, witnessing their comrades explode mid-dive, saw their confidence waver. The 7th wave hesitated. Only 3 Stukas dove instead of 4. The 9th wave began pulling out earlier, releasing bombs at 3,000 feet instead of 1,500, making their attacks less accurate. The 10th wave never even dove, the remaining Stukas breaking formation and fleeing. The attack, which had lasted only 9 minutes, was over. Samuel Hayes had personally destroyed 8 Stukas, expending 1,440 rounds. 3 more were destroyed by other gunners who had adopted his technique. Out of 40 attackers, 11 were downed. This 27% kill rate far surpassed any previous engagement. HMS Illustrious survived, sustaining only minor damage from 2 near misses with no direct hits and no casualties. After the engagement, both the gun captain and the ship's gunnery officer sought Hayes' explanation. He described his method: select one target and track it through its entire dive with sustained fire, leading the target based on its speed and angle. When asked where he learned this, Hayes recounted his years at the Liverpool shooting gallery, where the principle was identical. The gunnery officer, taking detailed notes, concluded Hayes' method was effective, more effective than standard doctrine, demanding discipline and trust. Among gun crews to focus on single threats. By May 12th, Hayes was training other gun crews. The gunnery officer formally established new doctrine for anti-dive bomber defense. Select single targets, maintain sustained fire, and track the attack run. This technique rapidly spread throughout the Mediterranean fleet, and Stuka losses mounted significantly. By June, German commanders noticed the sharp shift. Their pilots reported a dramatic increase in British anti-aircraft fire accuracy. Stukas were being destroyed mid-dive at significantly higher rates. German intelligence, examining wreckage, concluded the British had improved their fire control systems. They never suspected this pivotal change in naval tactics. It originated not from military academies or advanced research, but from a carnival shooting gallery operator applying basic marksmanship. Samuel Hayes continued to serve on HMS Illustrious through 1943 and 1944, participating in 27 major engagements. His personal tally reached 16 confirmed aircraft destroyed, all utilizing his sustained single-target method. In September 1944, he was awarded the Distinguished Service Medal for his innovative gunnery techniques, a well-deserved recognition. The citation did not detail the carnival connection. That remained an informal, cherished secret among the gun crews. In November 1945, Hayes returned to Liverpool, reopening his shooting gallery on New Brighton Pier. He rarely spoke of the war, simply stating he had been a gunner when asked about his medals. Years later, in 1968, a naval historian researched fleet operations, uncovering references to Hayes' technique in ship logs, and tracked him down. Hayes, then 54 and still running his gallery, confirmed the details, yet he humbly downplayed his significant role. He insisted any experienced shooter could have developed the same method. The principle, he explained, was simple. Lead the target. Don't waste ammunition shooting at where things were. Shoot where they'll be. He had never considered his carnival skills would save a warship, only that he knew how to hit moving targets effectively. A Stuka, much larger than a metal duck, followed the same fundamental physics. Samuel Hayes passed away in 1987 at the age of 73. His obituary mentioned his shooting gallery and his naval service, but made no mention of the 11 Stukas or his key technique. Yet to this day, in modern naval anti-aircraft training, Hayes' method is still taught. The principle of concentrated fire on single targets, proven more effective than distributed fire across multiple targets. This stands as a testament that military innovations emerge unexpectedly from the most unexpected places.